Hello. Okay, let's talk. Let's debrief. I just got out of a meeting and I have a lot of thoughts, and I've kind of been given the green light to share them. So let's start breaking them down. For starters, we got a small win. I figured out how to flip the camera. So now I can at least see myself as I appear with a front facing camera. It's not like totally flipped. Next, let's address it's actually not that noticeable. I was going to say the elephant in the room. My hands are like beat up because I installed seat covers on my car seats this weekend, and it was very difficult. Very painful. My hands are like bruised like crazy right now. But all of that is besides the point. Except I guess it's kind of not because let's talk about it. Part of being a marketer in this world is creating content, right? If you're working at a smaller company and you are in media production, you you're going to generate content that's like part of the game. And hold on, I'm like brushing out my bangs, and this is again all ties in to some of the racket. Uh Everyone is having to do media nowadays. Everyone is having to play the game, and everything has evolved to become okay. So, put a pin in everything that I've just started to say but didn't fully say. Part of my degree was in media studies. So, I was really interested in looking at what different generations' response to media was. And I took one of the first classes on, I say one of the first, I guess it's new that we're studying Gen Z so much because basically I, as a member of Gen Z too, we all just aged into our purchasing power. So, like, now we have grown up jobs and we have grown up money. And so now all of a sudden, companies care about us, right? Basically. But I kind of wonder if even if we hadn't just shifted into that, if that would be happening anyway. And I kind of think we're seeing that with YouTube for Kids and all of this stuff. We're seeing more and more people marketing to children and to younger people. And so part of that is also looking at that generation and seeing what their values are. Well, I read a whole book on Gen Z in my Gen Z class, and you can basically tell from online discourse too that the younger generations care more and more about authenticity. And so that is kind of what I'm hoping to dig into today is kind of the reality of what at least my experience of working at a smaller indie marketing or working as a marketer and content creator and video specialist at a indie sized and tech and media company. Sorry, I literally forgot the word media, even though I probably use it every 3 sentences in my day to day life. Um, what that looks like. And let's start with because I have to believe that this is relatable. When you work in content creation, I feel like the buzz started with YouTubers. YouTubers started talking about burnout and talking about how um, when you get in the regular habit of creating content, it's so easy to like lose yourself, lose ideas, lose your drive. And something that I guess I at least can personally relate to with that is like when you think about coming to your job and what maybe someone who doesn't have a job or expect to have a job where part of that job is being on camera and showing up and like their personhood being involved and their creativity being involved, you don't really think about like if you like how your hair looks or if you like how you look or if you're feeling good basically about yourself. It kind of doesn't matter if you're coming in to sit at your desk, or I assume so, or it's easier, I assume. I don't know. I'll give a lot of caveats because I know, like, I don't know. I feel like a whole bunch of influencers these days too are like complaining about like how hard their job really is and everyone is giving them crap. And you know what? I think the bottom line is that, like, if your personhood is, like, involved in, like, what you do for a living, like, things are gonna get a little difficult. Granted, like, as a marketer, it's, like, not as involved, but it is a little bit like you have to be creative. You have to be okay with being on camera. You have to be okay with putting yourself out there, and, like, that can get exhausting, if I'm being honest, and, like, whatever, like, I'm not trying to complain, um, but that just is involved. So, for starters, like, some things that I have that help quell that is I literally um have a battery-powered flat iron that I keep in my backpack because I have bangs and hold on, I dropped the, like, silicone cover for it. I have bangs and, like, not to be too vain, but, like, I don't know, I think everyone cares what they look like, and everyone has some level of investment in how they are going to appear at their job or on camera, whatever it looks like. Um, and so, like, I don't know. And then sometimes too, like, sometimes you stumble into work, it's been a rough morning, it's been whatever, and, like, you don't have makeup on. And so it's like, okay, so what does my work productivity look like now? Like, am I going to just grin and bear it and make a whole bunch of TikToks, like, feeling not necessarily that I look like the best representation of myself? Or am I going to pack a makeup bag and, like, struggle through, like, putting on a face of makeup at work? You know what I mean? Like, I think those are, like, some of the realities of this job that I don't know, like, I don't know that they matter, but they exist, and if you've been, I feel like, in my shoes, then maybe you can relate. Um, kind of with that too, like, I feel like even more than just people who are, media professionals are having to make media. I see it with, realtors. I see it with people who cut hair for a living. Like, hairstylists have to make content because all of it is a buzz for, like, drawing in, drawing in business. If you're a person that has a small business to some regard, like, to some degree, then you're having to make and generate organic content. All of that brings me into we are an indie-sized media and tech company, and so we make stuff, and how we have to figure out how to find the people. We have to figure out how to find y'all, how to get y'all invested, how to get you to care about what's going on. And if you look at what's working, you see influencer marketing is a big thing that's working. And part of that comes from, again, like you're invested in these people, you trust them, you care about them, and so you believe what they have to say. Well, a huge part of that struggle is you have to spend money to make money. And if you're at the stage where you are creating stuff independently and you're not already kind of in that rat race of, oh, we have enough of an audience, so we're able to do affiliate programs, or oh, we have enough of a listenership, so we can kind of scrape by getting all these generating like ad revenue, then like kind of starting up and getting off the ground can be difficult. Um, I don't know. That's kind of what we all were like beating our heads against the wall about in this last meeting. And I don't know. It's hard because I think when you're indie sized too, everyone is still invested in and aware of what it's like to be the person that's being marketed to. So, and I'm sure this is relatable to probably all small businesses. No one really likes being advertised to, which is ironic because we are oh, I just peaked my audio levels. We are all involved in a world now where we are being marketed to at every hour of every day. Growing up, I was like probably in 4th grade. One of my like favorite, most told grandpa stories was we were visiting my grandpa, and my sister was wearing like an Aeropostale shirt or an Abercrombie shirt, and he was like so befuddled by it. He was like, "What is that? Like, what is that shirt? What does your shirt say? What does it mean?" And it was like a strange concept to explain to him that we had a brand name plastered across our shirt. And do we really have much investment or buy-in or care in like Abercrombie or Aeropostale as a company? Like, no. No, in 4th grade we did not. But we were wearing it anyway, and like, I don't know. I think I just have always thought that's so interesting that like that was a foreign concept because it seems like something we're all just so used to and familiar with now. Um, but I think when you are a smaller business, there's still like hesitation to like throwing yourself in people's faces and to I guess selling out, to plastering your app with ads that are going to make money and are going to be vital in letting the app continue and vital in the creation of new apps. But it's kind of like it's the game you have to play. And so I think we here are trying to figure out the delicate balance of finding out how to integrate money making facets. I don't know, like find out how these media properties are going to make money without driving away or alienating the audience that we're trying to build, right? So I was about to like blow the microphone out. Big heavy breath. But so yeah. So we're looking at influencer marketing, which I think is cool because to me, to some regard, that is B2B, but it's like small b to small b, right? So small media company and finding like another little guy basically is kind of what influencers are, and merging the communities, right? So we're looking at influencer marketing. Um, we have run Instagram ads. We have run audio ad campaigns. And again, it's like we have gotten good engagement from those. Like we have certainly seen numbers from those trials. But converting those numbers to something that is profitable is hard. And it it's a sucky reality that like that is the price of making art, or making something that is going to be fun for someone to play, or making something that's funny that brightens someone's day, or making some sort of snarky commentary on the world at large that connects with other people's cynicism and makes them feel seen. The price of doing that at a sustainable rate is finding out a way to make it profitable, and finding out how to make it profitable more and more is becoming a game of dumping money into it to get it to reach the people. But then it's like, even if it does reach the people, how will then it make money? So that's what we're figuring out here. And it can be, as you would assume, quite exhausting for people that generally are just invested in making something that's good and fun and cool. And it can get really easy to, I think, lose the plot in creation when you have to be practical about it. So, and I don't know, not to like, let's dig in a little bit on AI, because initially when AI rolled out, uh, it seemed like a cool tool that was going to help democratize a lot of things, democratize education. It was going to kind of almost streamline the creative process for creatives, but it's kind of turned into a much more controversial thing, which I'm like not going to dig into too much because I don't know enough about it. But I kind of feel like that feedback loop of, oh, here's this new thing. It's going to make it easier for the little guy. and then there being almost a bigger picture that reveals that it's not actually going to help the little guy the way you thought it would. I feel like that kind of is a trend that we're seeing that more and more and more. Um, I don't know. At this point, I'm kind of on a tangent, but I think that is becoming kind of a web trend too. That was something I did a project on in college was how authenticity and how being real is like so important to a lot of people, but um once you reach a point where all of the people that like it's compelling to feel represented, right? And so everyone clocks in and and hops on board with these creators that they feel like represent them because they're the little guy. But at some point there are so many people that are hopping on board and are invested in the little guy that they stop being the little guy. The project I did in particular was Emma Chamberlain. Very much she is from my generation. She's from the like as I guess brand of content creators that rose and then started receiving criticism because they were now moving to LA and buying $1 million homes and stuff like that. And it was perceived as like selling out. But it's like, no, you like put you put them on that trajectory, you made them successful. Um, and I feel like it can be really hard sometimes to think through that and perceive that without a large degree of cognitive dissonance coming into play. Um, and I think there just is a lot of that happens. So it's inescapable, right? But I think it's something that we're trying to be thoughtful about. Yeah. Another aspect I think of doing marketing at a smaller or indie sized, I feel like is like the buzzword I feel like I've developed in the way I like to talk about it. Indie sized tech and media company is so I have video production chops, I do graphic design stuff, and I've taken marketing and branding classes, right? And I feel like the landscape for marketing now is such that content creation and marketing go hand in hand. But certainly that's not always how it's been. And so I think at least maybe this is the story I'm telling myself to make myself feel a bit better about what I feel like I'm experiencing and perceiving about the industry or industries, because it's at this point it's multiple. Um, is that at the point where I was going through school and like learning about media and branding and marketing, uh, you could still go and get a degree in marketing, or you could get a degree in advertising, or you could get a degree in media. And now everything is so it's all this one big heap. And you can meet people that have a job that's like mine, where I do media marketing, branding, video creation, right? Or you could meet someone that like literally their specific job title is they are the head of influencer marketing at XYZ company, right? Um, and I think like I'm sure that's how it's always been. Like surely that's how it's always been because we've always had companies of varying sizes. Uh, where that's how people have to wear different hats as a product of, that. But, but I think it's, like, kind of crazy to think about the fact that, like it's crazy for me at least to be in these meetings where we are trying to figure out how to cast the widest net as wide a net as possible and really problem solve this and find a way to create, like, a meaningful marketing campaign for all these different media properties and find a way to concisely communicate our company's brand identity and to find a way to find our people, right? And to connect with them because such a big part of creating is connecting. And so we have to find them and we have to connect. We have to find you and we have to connect. Um Holy cow. I just like big time lost my train of thought. That's horrible. I don't know, bad news. I guess yeah, this has all been a tangent and a soapbox moment. Um I think I was just saying like we're trying to do it as meaningfully as possible and I think like part of finding the people then too is like that will aid in the creation process, right? Like once you have found your people, once you have gotten sort of in the stride of creating for them, that it becomes this like mutualistic relationship. And so building up and getting off the ground becomes a confusing task. So that's what we were working through in the meeting today. Um yeah. Yeah, I guess that's another thing is like we are in a very trend heavy world and so it's easy to like hop on all the different bandwagons and trends and a lot of times that's like the easiest way to generate content. But you also kind of want to be thoughtful too and you don't want to just throw everything. Well, I don't know. I guess that's another question. Is there's multiple different schools of thought too, where like, do you want to be the person who's just throwing everything you can at the dartboard and seeing what sticks? Or do you want to really tailor your direction and figure out how to go in and cast a deep net and just really invest in the way in your direction, you know? Um, so it's all just sort of a game of figuring it out. I think too, like marketing is becoming so multidisciplinary, and for sure it I think probably always has been. Um, but I think now too, this has to be the case because everything is so fast now, right? We are in a race with algorithms, and so basically the recommended amount of content to post a day is 3 TikToks, like 3 step. Well, it varies per platform, but like 3 is kind of the magic number I've heard. And I don't know I don't know if you've ever sat down and really tried to generate content at that rate, but it's pretty crazy. And for sure you can cross post on different platforms and you can put what you're posting on TikTok, on Instagram and such. But again, it's like if you really wanted to take your best put your best foot forward on all of it, you're kind of tailoring per platform too. And and then again too, like I feel like people don't necessarily respond to just hopping on the trend bandwagon. Like I have to believe, and I've witnessed it to be true, that people really connect with intentional and well thought out content. And so I've been trying to come up with organic ways of taking audiences behind the scenes or of describing some of the creative process or just tapping into trends in a way that feels honest and true to who we are as a company, to the content we're creating, to the different media properties and the brands that they encapsulate. And so not just like hopping on Brat Summer, but finding figuring out how to make Brat Summer relate to what we're doing here at Driven Catalyst, right? And and that it's tricky. And it's very easy to get burnt out when that is sort of the rainstorm of thoughts and approaches that you could take, and it's like all in a day's work. I think it can be super overwhelming to feel like there's all these different approaches you could take. There's all these different methods you could use. And ultimately, you just have to start. You just have to start doing it. But any time and effort and energy and ideation spent in one direction, like that's time invested, that's energy invested, that's ideas put out there in one way. And I think that's part of our approach in live streaming is trying to get the ball rolling, trying to take a stab at something and figure it out. But basically just be assured that it's being thought through behind the scenes, at least here. And we don't care to just sell you nonsense or profit off you for no reason necessarily. I don't know. That kind of would be awesome. That if we could do it, we would, I think. Just being real. And you know what? Every company would say that. But yeah, we're trying to be thoughtful in the noise that we're adding to the world. So it's a process. And I guess all I can say is keep an eye on what Driven Catalyst is doing, because we are having a lot of interesting conversations and meetings about what's next and about what things are going to look like and about what works and about what doesn't. And we are by no means hung up on one way of doing things. And I like to believe that it all comes back to this idea that we want to create things that connect with people and that connect people and that are meaningful in some way, even if that way that they are meaningful in is just you seeing it and it being snarky in exactly the right way. So, yeah. That is my soapbox for the day. I hope that someone at some point in time in life sees this and can connect to it in some way, because certainly, like, I think everything has its thing, you know what I mean? Like, this is by no means me. It's been a rant, but I'm trying not don't mean to complain. I'm just kind of talking through my experience that I feel like is probably super relatable, just regarding the kind of showing up and locking in every day and figuring out how to be creative and how to not get burnt out and how to reach an audience in a meaningful way that's going to work, because it's hard to figure out what works and you won't know till you try it, but it can get more and more and more exhausting and demoralizing to keep trying when it's not working. And without a doubt, sorry, I was like signing off, but I'm going to keep going. I'll sign off quickly, but um, I think too, like part of this process and part of the process of marketing it always has that pendulum swing back of like, what if what we're making isn't good? And what if that's why it's not working? And that perspective is not missing in these meetings. And that is not an easy perspective for, I think, any creator to have, right? And so it's hard and it's exhausting and it's like frenzied to try and measure all these different options and to try and be like in tune with all the possibilities. So that's what we've been navigating. And it's my hope that talking through some of it and being transparent about some of it resonates and connects with someone in a way that brings you into the world of Driven Catalyst, and in hopes that you will find something that you like and that will make your life better in some way. So, happy Monday. I will see y'all tomorrow.